Hello everybody! Today I'm going to teach you all about how to use SVG cut files, and I think that I should get up close and personal for this one. So every day I get email from some lovely person who is so eager to make one of my designs, but they just can't figure out how to get from point A to point B. Here are some of the questions that I've received. What is the secret to making beautiful crafts? Why do some crafters seem to create so freely while others are stuck spinning their wheels? How do you find beautiful templates, patterns, and tutorials for all of those amazing projects you share? And how are you supposed to know what to do in what order when it all seems so complicated? Those are big questions. But the thing is, those are questions that nearly every single crafter has asked themselves at one point or another, including myself. We all have questions, but when it comes down to it, I know you love to make things, beautiful things, just like me. And I think that despite all the different ways the questions are worded, what folks are asking is this: how do I make beautiful things that are fun to put together and get noticed, appreciated, and loved? Hi, my name is Jennifer Maker, and I'm the award-winning designer at jennifermaker.com, and the blog and the YouTube channel. Welcome to my video series, SVGs Made Simple. I designed this video series to help answer those very questions. And here in this first video, you're going to learn all about how to find those coveted patterns and files that take your crafts from blah to beautiful. So the way it works is that designers, like myself, can save and share their detailed patterns, the ones that allow you to recreate something with perfect precision, into what are known as SVG cut files. And you're going to learn how they can transform your crafts. You'll also learn how to find and download SVG files to help you cut and make gorgeous jaw-dropping creations. Once you get this down, you'll blow everyone away with the things that you can make. And you'll also totally make someone's day when you give them something that you made with your own two hands and a little help from your cutting machine. That means if you are the owner of a Cricut, a Silhouette, a Brother, or another cutting machine who is struggling with this whole SVG file thing, you're going to be able to start making amazing creations right away with SVG cut files. My goal for this SVGs Made Simple video series is to help you make beautiful creations that you can use to decorate your home and wow your friends and family. You are going to blow them away. Now, as many of you know, I design and share my free SVG cut files through my blog at jennifermaker.com. Sometimes the issue is knowing where to find the file, but other times people struggle with downloading the files or even finding them after they've downloaded them. It's not always as easy as we'd all like it to be. But the reality is that I can totally relate to that struggle because that has a lot to do with my own story too. The day I bought my first Cricut, I took it out of the box and set it up and did the first project. I was so excited and it was so amazing. But a couple of days later, I wanted to make something really beautiful, really special, something that would just make people go, wow, that's so cool. I looked around online and I discovered that it was possible to make flowers out of paper. I had no idea that you can make paper flowers, and I was instantly drawn to it and hooked. But it was a total mystery to me. So I started poking around online and reading blogs and visiting sites, and eventually I discovered a wonderful blogger who was sharing some paper flower SVG files. I had no idea what an SVG was, but with time and persistence, I figured it out, and I figured out how to use it, and that day I made my very first paper flower. I have to show it to you. Look at that. And when I showed everyone that evening, they were all so impressed, and so was I. I still love this thing. But this story doesn't stop with me. The tutorial I'm about to share with you is my method of making SVGs to make all of these gorgeous creations. Everything that you see here in my craft room, everything on my blog and on my channel, they all began as SVG cut files because I want you to be able to make things like this too. And you probably wouldn't be watching this if you weren't struggling, at least a little, with how to make these unique creations. But luckily, there's a solution. The purpose of SVGs Made Simple is to help you quickly overcome this frustration so that you can get to the making stuff part that you love faster. It's really that simple. So as we go through these tutorial videos, I want you to identify obvious areas of opportunity for your current situation. What is it that you want to get out of this? Are you ready? Let's get started. So let's begin with the basics. What is an SVG cut file? An SVG is a file with a pre-made design that you can download to your computer or device, upload to your favorite design software, such as Cricut Design Space, Silhouette Studio, Surecuts a Lot, or Make the Cut. The file contains all or most of the imagery and directions needed to cut a project exactly as designed. And it's this exactness that makes SVG cut files so appealing. It allows designers to make something precisely and share it with others so they can make the same thing. So here on the left side of my screen is the SVG cut file for my penguin paper bomb in Cricut Design Space, just as it was designed by me. And on the right side of the screen is the completed penguin cut from the directions in the SVG file. And by the way, SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, SVG, and it is an open standard file that has been in use since 1999. I love SVG files because they are so precise. Now you may be wondering, where do you find SVG cut files? As it turns out, they are all over the place. I myself have a big collection of free SVG files on my blog at jennifermaker.com. I keep them all in my free resource library, and many other bloggers do something similar and are happy to share their designs with you via SVG cut files as well. If a design is being shared, the blogger will mention it in their blog post, and many bloggers will have resource libraries or free SVG file collections somewhere in their menu bar that you can look for. Beyond blogs, you'll also find cut files in SVG design shops. Most all shops have a free section along with their files for sale. If you don't mind paying a small price, SVG shops usually have what you need in their large collections. Another place to look for SVG cut files is in Facebook groups devoted to Cricut, Silhouette, and other cutting machines. Most of these groups encourage their members to share files they've made themselves, and members are allowed to download them. So to help you find the locations of these blogs, shops, and groups, I have a big list of great places to find SVG cut files on my blog at jennifermaker.com. Just come on over and search for free SVG files, or you can go directly to the blog post at jennifermaker.com/free-svg-files-best. Finally, my all-time favorite place to get SVG cut files is to just make them myself. Yes, that's right. You can just make your own SVG cut files in precisely the way, size, style, and configuration you want without any compromises. Those SVG files aren't found online, but are in your imagination just waiting to get out. And it's totally possible to make your own. I do it, you can do it too. If you've ever thought about it, I encourage you to try it. I'll be talking more about how you can learn to design and make your own SVG cut files in a future video in this training series. Okay, so how do you get cut files? So now we get to the trickier part, and the one that I get a lot of questions about because it's not always so obvious if you haven't done it before. Once you've done it, you'll be golden. So just how do you get the SVG cut files from online into your design software? The first thing you need to do is download the files. It isn't hard to do, so let me show you how to download a file from my blog on 3 different devices: a Windows computer running Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer, a Mac computer running Chrome and Safari, and an iPad using the File Manager feature available in iOS 11 and higher, and Chrome Remote Desktop for iPads that do not have access to the File Manager. Let's start with how to download SVG files in a Chrome browser on a Windows computer, which is the most common scenario. The Chrome browser is also the recommended browser for users of Cricut Design Space. First, you want to locate the file. Usually all you need to do is click a link or a download button and the file will download for you. Here I am at my blog's resource library. I click the link for the project file that contains the SVG, it downloads, and then I can locate it. If you know where your computer downloads its files, you can go right there. On Windows, it's almost always going to download to your Downloads folder. But if you're ever unsure, most browsers have a way to track downloads. On Chrome, your recently downloaded files appear at the bottom of the window. Click the little down arrow next to the file name, and it takes you to your Downloads folder. Now you'll notice that the file that downloads is a compressed archive that ends in zip, Z-I-P. This is going to be true of virtually any SVG file you download anywhere online, because most designers like to bundle a variety of versions and formats to make sure everyone can use it. To open and decompress a zip file on Windows, just right-click the zip archive and select Extract All from the menu that appears. You may be asked where you would like to extract your compressed zip file. Go ahead and check the destination to make sure it's a place that you recognize and can find. If not, you can change it with the Browse button and then click Extract. A new folder will appear with the same name as the zip file. Inside you may see something called Mac OS X. Just ignore that one. But there's also another folder in there with the same name as your download. Double-click that folder to open it and reveal its contents. Inside that folder you may see many files: text files, PNG files, DXF files, and SVG files. The SVG file is the one you want. But if you'll notice, on my screen, there appears to be no SVG file here. Instead, we see a file with a Chrome HTML file type, which is actually our SVG file. Your SVG files may appear as Chrome HTML files if you do not have an association saved for SVG files on your computer. So just remember, Chrome HTML files are actually SVG files in this case. Now don't try to double-click or open an SVG file. If you do, it will search for some illustration software to open it in, and many people do not even have that. So instead, we'll open this file just as it is, and I'll be showing you how to do that in our next video in this series. Okay, now let's switch to a Windows laptop running Firefox. So I'm here in my resource library on my blog. I scroll and I find and I click the link to download it. And you'll see it asks if you want to open or save it. You want to save it. And you click OK. And you'll see that this little down arrow is what you click on to find your downloads. And you don't want to open it. You just want to go look at the folder. And you click this right here. And then here you are. This is the file you downloaded. You double click that and ignore that Mac OS X folder. But here we are. Here's the list of files in there. And the SVG file that you're going to want to use is right here. Pretty easy, actually. So here's Internet Explorer. We're going to go to my website. Here we are in the library. We're going to, again, browse for the file that we'd like to download. Click on the link. You'll get a dialog box at the bottom asking if you want to open it or save it. You want to save it. And it'll take a while to download in Explorer. I'm not sure why. It does at least tell you the percentage that you've downloaded and about how long is remaining. When it's done, you'll want to view downloads. And so we can see all of our downloads here on the side. We click the one that we want. There it is. There is the SVG file just as we need it for the next step. All right, so that was Windows. Now how do you download an SVG file on a Mac? Let's start with Chrome. So first you locate the file. Usually all you need to do is click a link or a download button and the file will download for you. Here I am at my blog's resource library. I click the link for the SVG file, it downloads, and then I can locate it. If you know where your computer downloads its files, you can go right there. On the Mac, it's almost always going to download to your Downloads folder. But if you're ever unsure, most browsers have a way to track downloads. On Chrome, your recently downloaded files appear at the bottom of the window. Click the little down arrow next to the file name and it takes you to your Downloads folder. Now you'll notice that the file that downloads is a compressed archive that ends in .zip. It's a zip file. This is going to be true of virtually any SVG file you download anywhere online, because it's not usually possible to just have an SVG file uploaded to a blog. It actually is restricted. So we need to put it into an archive. And also, because most designers like to bundle a variety of versions and formats of the files to make sure everyone can use it. So to open and decompress a zip file on the Mac, simply double-click it. A new folder will appear with the same name as the zip file. Double-click the new folder and inside you will see all of the contents. The file that ends in SVG is the one you'll want to work with. But don't try to double-click or open an SVG file. If you do, it will search for an illustration software on your computer it can use to open it, and most people don't even have this. Instead, we'll upload this file just as it is, and I'll be showing you exactly how to do that in the next video. Okay, so we've done a Mac desktop computer running Chrome. Let's see how it looks running Safari. So here is Safari. I'm at my blog's resource library. I'm going to download the file and you can see it download. And again, I could go right to my downloads folder, but if you are ever not sure where your download went, you just click this little down arrow at the top of your screen and it shows you the latest downloads. Click the magnifying glass and it takes you to your downloads folder. Finally, let's talk about how to get SVG cut files if you're using an iPad or even an iPhone. First, you should know that it is possible to download these files on these devices. And since the introduction of iOS version 11, you can even download and upload directly from your iPad or iPhone. Let me show you how to do this on my iPad. So first we go to the SVG file we want to download and tap on the file to download it. Once you tap on the SVG file, you get a screen that looks like this. Tap Open in Files to proceed. The next step is to save this file in a place that you can access from Cricut Design Space. You have several choices usually: iCloud Drive, your iPad or iPhone, or a third-party service like Dropbox. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm saving it to iCloud Drive. So to continue, tap iCloud Drive. Next, tap the Add button. Once you do that, you'll get this screen. This shows you that the zip file has been saved, but that's not enough yet, as zip files cannot be uploaded to Cricut Design Space. So to get the actual SVG out of the zip file, tap Preview Content. Previewing the content will likely show you my About These Files text document. I recommend you read this, but we need to keep going a couple more steps still. Tap the button with the 3 lines near the top if you're on an iPad, or in the lower right corner if you're on an iPhone. Now we can see what is inside the zip file. Hooray! Look at the list and find the one labeled SVG image, which usually shows up in gray text beneath the file name. This is the SVG file. Tap the SVG file in the list to proceed. Now once you do that, you'll see a graphical representation of the SVG cut file appear on screen, just like I've shown here. Now tap the Upload button. It looks like a box with an up arrow in it. It's either at the top of your screen on an iPad or it's in the lower left corner on an iPhone. And next you want to tap Save to Files. You may need to scroll to the right to see this option. Do not tap Save Image. That only saves the picture, not the SVG file itself. Now choose where you want the SVG file to be saved. I am choosing iCloud Drive again. And just tap Add to save your SVG file. The SVG file is now saved and ready to upload to Cricut Design Space, which I will show you how to do in our next video. Now, if you have an older iPad or iPhone that does not support iOS version 11 or later, there is a trick you can use to download SVG cut files using your iPad or iPhone. To do this, you'll want to download and install the Chrome Remote Access extension on your Chrome browser on either a Mac OS or Windows computer. It's free and easy to install. If you need help installing it, I am linking to a helpful step-by-step tutorial below. Once you've got that installed on your Chrome browser on your computer, go to your iPad or iPhone, open the App Store, and search for the Chrome Remote Access app there. Download and install it too. Then connect your iPad to your computer. Once you do that, you now have remote control over your computer on your iPad or your iPhone, and you can do anything that you would be able to do if you were sitting at your computer, including look for files, download files, upload files, everything that you need to do. So let me show you how I do this on the iPad. I click the Chrome Remote Access and I connect to my computer. I put in my authentication code, which you set up while you're installing it. And here it is. This is my remote access to my iMac right now. So I click on the SVG I want. It downloads. And it's downloading to my computer, and I can go in and I can unzip it right here on my computer, and I'm using my iPad right now. Don't forget that. I can also decompress it right here, and then there is the SVG that I can then upload as I needed to. And this is all done using the iPad with remote access to Chrome on my computer. Okay, so now that we've worked on finding and downloading SVG cut files, the big question is, how do you upload and use these files anyways? I mean, just downloading the file does not make it magically load itself into your machine and begin cutting, now does it? That would be nice. How do you get an SVG cut file into Cricut Design Space or Silhouette Studio? What do you do if you're on an iPad or a phone? Can you even upload them at all? Well, that's exactly what I am going to show you in video number 2 of this series. I'm also going to give you actual examples of SVGs being uploaded in a variety of different ways and provide you with a handy workbook so that you can download it and use it as a reference as you continue on your crafting journey. Solving the problem of getting SVGs into your design software is actually pretty easy, and I'll show you how to do it in video number 2. Before we go today, I want you to leave a comment right below this video and tell me what you think of it and what you're struggling with when it comes to SVG cut files. I'm going to read every single comment, just like always, and I'll respond to as many as I can. And if you found this video useful, please share it on Facebook or YouTube, or even just send a friend a link to this page. Now remember, creating gorgeous crafts is not nearly as complicated as people make it out to be. All you really need to do is simplify the process, and SVG cut files can do that. And you can start right this very moment, in fact. You can find and download some SVG files for projects that you'd really love to make. Next up, I'll show you exactly how to upload those files into your design software so you can actually use them. Remember this, when you're feeling frustrated, without some struggle, there can be no progress. You can turn your breakdowns into breakthroughs. All right, I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Until next time.